everything is possible. And if you have a dream, just think about it, believe, and work hard, and it's gonna happen, you know. But just go step by step. Don't burn the step, you know. Just go like, I love to say, go very small.
Hey guys, this is another episode of North. My guest today is a French artist by the name of Luca Beaufort. I actually came across Luca's work on Instagram a while back and was really into his stuff. I really dug his style of work and just started keeping up with the stuff he's been doing. And when I saw he was actually going to be here in the States for a little bit doing some work, I knew I had to reach out to him. And luckily, he was more than willing to sit down and let me pick his brain on everything that is pursuing a career in creativity and ups and downs and staying motivated and just dealing with all sorts of different stuff. So it was a really great talk. I really enjoyed my time with Luca and getting to pick his brain about how he's been able to carve out his own lane in his career. And I think if you're anything like me, you'll hopefully come away with a few things to think about and motivate you to maybe try yourself. So at one point, I think my dog makes an appearance, and I apologize in advance if her barking blows out your speakers, but when you have a pug, that's just life. So please give it up for artist Luca Beaufort.
Well, my name is Luca Beaufort. I'm a French artist. I'm 36 years old. And I'm here in Colorado, Denver, for a crazy art trip. So my wife and I, we've been doing a crazy trip. We landed here in Denver like a week ago, and we did a crazy like Boulder, Vail, Aspen, and then we flew from Denver to Salt Lake and back here in Denver for one more week because I have to paint in some like different places, and I have 2 shows plus the SIA.
So you're on like an art tour basically right now, bouncing back and forth through the Rockies, different spots. That's sick. Did you sort of get all of that lined up before you came here, or is it something where it was one thing led to another as people found out you were going to be in the area, or?
Well, I love to organize trips, you know, all the time. I'm not like this artist, you know, going somewhere. I'm like, I'll do whatever, you know. If it's happening, it will, you know. I'm like, I like to set up everything before. So before coming here, I was like, oh, I want to go to Aspen. It was kind of a dream, you know, to go there. And then we were like, yeah, but we should do a tour if we go to Aspen. So we were like, okay, let's do Boulder. And okay, but where? Oh, there's a cool shop named Satellite. It's a snowboard shop.
Yeah. Did you meet JG there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I met Raul as well.
Yeah.
So everything started there. And then we went to Vail, and what I did there, it was a kind of like a mural in the hotel. And then we went to Aspen at Radio Board Shop, which is pretty cool. Travis is the man. Shout out to him.
Shout out Travis.
And then yeah, we drove to to Denver, and then we flew to Salt Lake to make another mural for Giro. You know, Giro, the goggle and helmet.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually here to promote my collab with them. I did a goggle and a helmet, and they're gonna show it at SIA.
Sick.
So yeah, basically, you know, it's a crazy trip, but it's how I see my life is to have like crazy like stuff every day, single day, you know. I don't want to just like go and visit the city. I just want to go all in with art, meet people, and having fun.
So when you meet people and you have to tell them what it is that you do exactly, beyond just saying you're an artist, how do you tell them exactly what it is that you do? Would you classify it as illustration, working with acrylics, paint? How would you sort of break that down to someone who has no idea?
It's hard to define what I do because, you know, I don't like to put myself in the box, you know. For me, it's more like freestyle all the time. When I work with a brand for collab, for example, they're like, oh, do you have like a sketch for us? I'm like, absolutely not, you know. I want to just like do like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then I want to just like go and visit the city. I just want to go all in with art, meet people, and having fun. So right now.
We're going for it.
Yeah, and then I will send you the design, you know.
Yeah.
I don't want to think too much. And so, you know, defining my art is really hard, but what I want to spread through my art is really simple, you know, like diversity is really important for me. Um, Sharing thing, the culture, learning every day something new, and all my characters are pretty super like into love, and they spread love all the time.
So backing up a little bit, you're here doing this art tour. You have all this cool stuff lined up. I know you've done a different bunch of different collabs. You just mentioned Giro. I think I saw you did stuff with Dakine, as well as some others. Maybe Billabong, I think I saw. How did this all begin? Give us sort of the backstory, where you originally are from, sort of what got you into all of this, and then how you sort of started to take that leap into maybe starting out doing this as a hobby and turning it into something way more.
Yeah, exactly. You know, for me, everything starts from just a passion or a hobby, you know. And so I'm 36 and I started to paint 10 years ago, which is super late. I see people, they start to paint at 12 or even 5, you know. And I started just out of the blue. It was Christmas time. And I wanted to give something special for my brother. And instead of buying something, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna draw something special for him. And all my family were pretty stoked on it, and they say, oh, this is cool. We should just like carry on. And it's what I did. And a year later, I had my first show. So
A year after you started,
yeah, because
after giving your brother a gift.
yeah, because like a month after that, I had like a friend who said like, hey man, I saw that you were painting now. Are you down to paint a canvas for my girlfriend? I'm like, whoa, are you sure? I mean, it's just for fun. I said, yeah, absolutely, it's pretty cool. So you start just like, you don't know why, but you just want to express what you have in your mind. And 10 years later, it's more than a job. It's a lifestyle. You know, it's all my life now. You know, I can't. You know, before that I was working in a company with friends. You know, I was working in a print magazine named Disillusion.
Okay.
And
What kind of magazine?
it's a lifestyle kind of like a crossover, skate, snow, and surf. And we started at like it was like a zine, 10 pages, pretty crap magazine.
Sort of DIY.
Yeah, to be honest, you know, like a lot of mistakes and stuff.
Sure.
And 10 years later, it was like maybe one of the most like popular and yeah, magazine in the industry. Like we were like invited everywhere to go to document or to follow somebody that we love.
Yeah.
So I started to work with this magazine, and like 6 years later, while I was working for the magazine, I started to paint, and then the painting became bigger than my job, and I said, okay, I have to leave, and that's how it is.
That's insane. So I know after doing a little bit of research about you too that you're obviously pretty into skating, and that's something that apparently means obviously quite a lot to you. How did you get into skating? Was this something that you got into at a younger age and then you started to get exposed to artwork in the skate world, and so then that maybe fueled your desire to try and pursue that yourself, or how did that all sort of come together as well?
Skateboarding is probably the best thing ever, you know, and I'm not afraid to say that to everybody because I did a lot of sport back then. My mom, she was like, oh, you should do tennis, you should do soccer, you should do basketball. So I tried everything. It was fun, but skateboarding was way, you know, was something like insane for me because it's, if I'm here with you now, it's just because of skateboarding, you know, like.
Yeah.
I remember the first time, you know, my mom bought me this board. I was 13, and I didn't know what to do with it. I was just like, oh, skateboarding seems to be cool, you know, I should try. And so we bought the board in France, and I started to try to ollie or just to go over obstacles, and I was like, it's impossible. How can you just like jump over things? I don't understand. I don't get it, you know. And then it's funny because a month later I went to a skate shop like near my house, and there's this zine, and I was just like, oh my gosh, you can do that. I didn't know that you could like flip the board, jump over rails or whatever. And from this point, I was like, oh, now I have to just practice, every day.
Yeah.
And then, like a month later, my friend started to skate as well, and it was like a crew of skater. We were like 13 to 14. Every Saturday, every Wednesday, we went to school with the board. It was everything, and yeah, more than 20 years later, it's still there. It's
Everything.
still like, yeah, I still skate when I can, and I try to spread the word, because with my art, I love to spread my world with my art, but what I prefer the most is skateboarding at the end, because the inspiration is coming from the skate. Like I think that even if I started to paint at 26, I was really into graphic back then for like 10 years, and I was like just like I was fitting by all the graphics that I used to see all around me. And when I started to paint, it was just obvious. It came out and boom.
I think that's one of the more, I think admirable is the best way to describe it, admirable things about skating and people that you find out either used to be into skateboarding, still actively skate, is that it sort of sets people up for this almost lifetime long appreciation for not just skating, not just photography, not just art, not just fashion, not just music, but a little bit of all of those things, where I always wonder if like someone was really into like football in high school, like that was probably a somewhat, they're probably on a different path as far as maybe what they appreciate, whereas I find that people that have a background in skating, whether they still do it or did it enthusiastically at a younger age, they still appreciate a lot of those things that they appreciated then, and they're still open to a lot of different mediums now. Like you mentioned, you're an artist, you're not necessarily boxed into one thing or another. It's that same sort of creativity that I think a lot of people will find in skating and apply to skating. It's sort of a vice versa sort of thing. So how did you sort of start to work your work into skateboarding, into the skateboarding industry? Because I've seen you have a number of decks now that you've done graphics for and stuff. Is that a mutual sort of thing where it was you put it out there and people saw it, or did you start to approach different people and say, hey, here's some work I'm doing, would you ever want to do something together, or how did that all come together start?
Well, I don't like to approach people and say, hey, can we work together? But I have like many projects in my mind. It's like every day I have a new, there's a new idea that I have, and I'm always trying to find a way just to make it happen. I don't like to say, oh, this is the idea, and just give up the next day because it's expensive to make it happen. And it's the same with the board graphic. I feel like so far, I did boards for almost Giro and Skate Mafia, and they reached out to me. They just came and say, hey, do you want to work with us for a board series? And I say, let's do it. But now, as you can see on my Instagram, like recently I've done a lot of boards for stores.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty important to do that, because you're like, oh, it's cool to do boards for girls or chocolate or whatever. But we have to remember that we have to support, the local and the community. And supporting the community is to just drive to a skate shop somewhere, meet the people there, do a board for the crew there, for the skaters. And trust me, last night we were in Fort Collins.
Yeah.
I had a show at Market SketchUp.
Cool.
with Eric.
Okay.
Eric likewise. And it was insane. Like probably like the town came for the show. Probably 200 people came.
Sick.
And he went almost sold out with the boards that he produced, for the show.
Yeah.
And I was like, guys, it's insane. It's so cool that you decide to buy the board and go skate with it, because if you skate with the board, of course you promote the shop,
Yeah.
Instead of, and I think it's amazing, like you can grab a board from a brand everywhere in the world, because it's a worldwide industry. But when you do a board collab with a store, they produce like, let's say 200 boards. You can't get the boards anywhere but at the shop.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like to support the small thing, independent and the people as well. It's really important. And I think that brands they today they forgot about it, because they're always like, we have a mission is to sell a lot, but we want to spread like our image. But I think they're more into like sellings, and don't forget that before selling, just try to meet the people before,
Yeah. And that's got to be sick too, because your excuse me, your work is now getting woven into the fabric of skateboarding history, as far as there's every chance in the world that someone's going to have your graphic, that deck hanging up, not as, something to skate on, but something to basically hang as a work of art. Like, I have a Tommy Guerrero deck that was hand screened. It was like limited, I think a Huff sort of thing. And, I never want to have that anywhere other than up on the wall, because it's something I'm really into Tommy Guerrero's music, but that's also something that I see as like, that's a really special, unique work of art. So it's got to be cool for you to know that your graphic is now woven into that sort of history as well, where someone could very well hang it up as, something special on their wall and not necessarily use it as the way it was originally intended. How did you know when this was something that you wanted to sort of do full time? I guess the broader sense, making artwork of one form or another. Was there any sort of clear indication where it was like, this is what I'm meant to be doing? Or was it just sort of, you start to take a read of different signs or different feedback and you just say, let's just go for this and we'll see where it takes us? Or
let's start from the beginning. I wasn't, so I was at school, of course, like everybody, and I wasn't super good at it.
what were you studying in school?
So like, surprisingly, I went, kind of far. Yeah, I wasn't super good at the very beginning, college and stuff, and high school was really bad in high school, and at the end I ended up like with a nice thing,
Yeah.
in business and administration,
Yeah.
which it doesn't mean anything, because for me, you learn from like the real experience, like
Yeah.
from working somewhere, because
Thrown into the fire.
you don't know a shit when you go out of school, and you
Yeah.
think you know, but you don't know anything. And yeah, I wish, if I wish school would have been like more into like, oh, you should probably just like learn stuff at like how to build something with your hand at 16, 17, instead of always like trying to put stuff in your head, and at the end you don't know anything because you just like try to learn and read and repeat all day.
Yeah.
And I realized that when I finished my school and my friend said, do you want to work with me at the magazine? I didn't know nothing. He said, man, this is your job, this is what you have to do. And I said, I don't know how to do it. He was like, just
Figure it out.
yeah. And it took me a month to understand a little bit, and then I understood that it's like the only way to, I don't like the word to succeed, but the only way to achieve a mission or whatever, it's to believe and to work hard. Like and it's what I did. All together we were 3 guys, and we worked super hard to start from nothing to what we had at the end. Like 8 years later, I told you it was amazing to do like a documentary with Andrew Reynolds or with Carsten, when you know where we're from.
Yeah.
Where we were. We're from this little city, little town in France where there is not much into skateboarding, and just 10 years later you're able to spend time with Carsten in his house and his like children's or whatever. It's insane when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not I don't know, I'm not Tony Hawk's son.
Yeah.
It's just like I had to work hard to
Yeah.
just to achieve what I want to do. And so like it was a good experience.
Yeah.
And then when I left, I was like, oh, what I have to do now? So I opened my computer and I was like, oh, what should I do now? What kind of work I should like apply to? And after 10 minutes, I just like this is not for me, you know.
Yeah.
I just want to do what I want to do, and I took a piece of paper and I said, well, what do I like? Art, skateboarding, and traveling. And I just drew this triangle, and I did my first project in Europe, and I bringing like artists together to support like a foundation. It was my first project, and I realized that just after that, that everything is possible, and never listen anyone telling you like you have to be a lawyer, you have to be a doctor, you have to be or whatever. Just do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And it's possible for everybody because no one gave me like any money to do like to start, you know. I was just like, okay, I have connections, I know some people, I know some brands, let's bring the project and say, hey, do you want to like be involved? Oh, that's cool, yeah, why not? And when I meet people now, I always say, I meet people, they say, oh, I don't like my job, and I'm like, you should quit and do something else, you know, do something because we're just here for a moment in earth, you know, on earth. For what, 70 years or 80 years? Just do what you want to do, because one day you will regret, or you will be like, as a dumb guy, and you just follow the line, you know. I don't want to follow the line. I just want to follow my line. And when you ask me what pushes me to do that, it's just like I just want to do what I want, what I love, you know. And it's painting, it's traveling. And when I meet my friend, they're like, oh, it's insane, but we don't know what you do. Do you make money or how it is? They don't know. They have their check every month.
Yes.
The first I live differently, you know. I have payment every day.
Yeah.
I have something coming up every day. It's like Sunday, it's not like a day that, you know, Sunday people, they used to stay at home and watch TV. It's like, oh, it's the day off, you know. For me, Sunday, it's Monday. Sunday, it's Saturday, you know.
Yeah.
I don't have rules, you know. I just follow what I want to do. And if Sunday, it's a crazy day because I have tons of work to do, it's a normal day.
Yeah. Ah, man, there's like 10 different points in there that I could probably, you know, pull from. One of the things he said was belief in hard work, and that's one of those things where it's the hard work doesn't go anywhere without the belief that it can go somewhere, and the belief doesn't really matter unless you put in the hard work. It's one of those things where it's like, I feel like sometimes you run across someone where they really want to believe that something's going to happen, but it's like, have you done this? Have you done that? No. It's like, you just got to put in the work, but then you really have to believe that it's obviously going to go somewhere, because sometimes you feel like you're just out there sort of in the open sea and you're not really sure which way to go. But I think as long as you just keep working hard, you said it yourself, you just have to keep moving forward, and that's going to, you know, pay off in the end some way or another.
For sure. And I tell you a story. It happened to me like 2 years ago, and I was like just like visiting, I think it was working there in London, and I took the cab from the airport to downtown, and this guy, we started to talk, and he said, oh, what do you do in life? And I said, I'm an artist. Oh, it's cool, you know, but what is it? And I was like, it's just like create, you know, like drawing what you have in mind, and I drew monsters, and it was weird for him to hear, you know. But and then I was like, do you like your job? And he said, no, I don't like it, but I need to feed my family. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, that's the worst thing to say, you know.
Yeah.
You do this job that you hate just to feed your family, just wake up. And I said, what do you like in life? He said, oh man, I love Kung Fu. I said, cool. So why are you not doing something in this, like in the Kung Fu lifestyle or whatever? He's like, man, I don't know how to start. And I was like, you should just start from the beginning. And I was like, and he said, oh, tell me, what should I do? And I was like, man, do you want me to maybe like do the Kung Fu for you and give you the money? And so this idea came up to me, and I said, you should, without putting money or asking your bank to, you know, give you anything, you should just like, next Sunday, you tell your friend, like your 3 best friends, to come with you, and you teach them like the basic, what you know about Kung Fu.
Yeah.
For free.
Yeah.
the next week you tell your friend, your 3 friends that came up,
Yeah.
to come back with 2 friends. And you launch the ball, and maybe 6 months later something's gonna happen, and you will have people that will be down to pay you like $10 just for the start, and then it's gonna be bigger or whatever. And the cool story is I gave him my phone number, and a year later he said, "Man, I quit everything, and I teach kung fu in the wood,
No
in the
way.
forest with people, and there's like 50 people with me, every Sunday." And I was like, "Man, this is amazing."
That's insane. Have you kept up with them since then?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
So all because of that one cab ride, he's now just on a completely different path in life. Basically, because someone he had just met said, "Dude, just go for it."
Yeah, and he said, "Man, you changed my life," and it's something that I do every day.
That's
When I meet
awesome.
I'm down for everything.
Yeah.
If you like your job and it's just like picking trash
Yeah.
down the street, I'm down.
Yeah.
For me, if it's cool for you and if you're happy to wake up every morning, do it.
Yeah.
But if it's pain for you every day, listen to me and I have something to tell you.
Yeah.
And I think I don't feel I'm God or whatever,
Sure.
because I'm not pretentious,
Sure.
It's more like having a discussion with somebody and it's telling the guy that there's a way you can change your life.
Yeah.
You don't think that it's not possible for you, that it's not for you. People think that it's not for them,
It's
Like,
never set in stone. And I think when you start, especially in a creative field, I'm sure you've probably found this, at least I feel like when I first started, I got sort of, not like weird, but like I wasn't sure when it was okay to start saying like, this is what I do full time professionally. Like it felt like there was like supposed to be gatekeeper somewhere that I was supposed to like walk through some sort of doorway to like being a professional from a hobbyist, or sort of starting to get paid a little bit here and there, to like declaring that this is what I do full time and that this is my profession. And that's always sort of a weird thing. I'm sure you probably at one point experienced that, where it was like, I'm just drawing stuff for my brother as a gift, or for your friend's girlfriend for a piece of work, where it was like it went from that to like you're now traveling the world and doing all this sort of different stuff, working with different brands. Was there any clear signal for you when it was like, I'm ready to take this from a really successful hobby to making this full-time 110% in? Was it like a one certain job, or you just got inundated with work, or you just decided to go for it? Just
this is what I say to people: don't go like, when you ride a bicycle,
Yep.
it's like when you learn something, don't just do like like the hand off,
Yeah.
First you learn how to do bicycle, then you just one hand off, and then both, when I decided to just do art 100%, I was waiting for it. So this is another advice that I give to people, is just like, when I tell you like just pursue your dream, it doesn't mean like you have to stop everything and just go and and tell your wife, "Honey, I'm gonna stop working and just gonna do what I want to do."
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be a disaster. Just keep your job, because you make money, you need money to just pay your bills or whatever, and build your love.
Yeah.
Eat what you love. And step by step, it's gonna be bigger and bigger, and you know when it's gonna be the time. And I knew that it was the time for me.
Yeah.
And I was right, because now I live the dream,
Yeah.
every day, like being able to travel the world, meet the people, making connections, like a year ago we did with my wife the drive from Miami to Boston, and along the way we did 25 art show in every single city: Baltimore, Philly, New York, and before like Jacksonville.
And these are all self-produced art shows.
Yeah, exactly.
You're reaching out to galleries or shops and saying,
No, it was sketch up all the time,
Sketch
because
up's
galleries, it's cool, but sorry guys,
Cool.
it's too classy for me. You go to a gallery, you want to die, because it's just like, guys, you know that you can smile or you can laugh or whatever, in a sketch up it's more like it's more like funny, and okay, you sell less, but it's not about selling stuff. It's about like meeting people.
Yeah.
And what I can do now is just like along the way on the East Coast, I can crash wherever I want. because I know somebody somewhere, living somewhere.
Miami to Boston.
Yeah.
So you literally just reached out skate shop to skate shop and created a tour for yourself.
Yes.
The entire way up the East Coast.
Exactly. And it's just like it takes you an email.
Yeah.
I just send an email I say, I'm gonna be in your town May 25th.
Yeah.
Down. And the guy is like, oh, but what are you gonna do? Dude, just give me a wall.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna bring some stuff.
Just let me do my thing.
And bring people, have some beers, music. Cool. And it works, It's amazing to see how people, and so we did the East Coast, then we did the West Coast, and then we went from LA to the Texas. And I remember this night it was in El Paso, and I had this show in this sketch shop, and it was insane because some kids cried because they met me, and I was like, man, why you cry, dude? I'm like you, we're the same.
Yeah.
So, man, it's amazing to see you here because we're not used to that, We kind of like left behind, There's not a lot of people that come, that comes here. And I was like, man, just come here. And I gave him a hug.
Yep.
And I said, man, what do you do? And the kids, he was like 12-year-old, and he said, man, I do paint. Do you want to see? And it's been like 10 months that we're in touch. And I try to just like help him just to build his style. And I think this kid is amazing, he's like super technical, and he makes portrait. And I can't tell you his name because I can't remember, but he calls me, once in a while, and we talk, and I do the same with like millions of people, It's, Instagram, it's funny because I have like 100 people like every day, they reach out to me and they're like, hey, can you give me an advice? How can I do that? And how can I contact this brand? And I'm always down to give tips.
Yeah.
And say hi and say, man, it's cool, because I know that when you do that, the kid or whatever, they're gonna be happy for a week.
Yeah.
So why shouldn't? I mean, it's my duty to give that.
Yeah.
Because if I was 12-year old, I would be happy that Custom would be down to say, hey, what's up, man? It's cool that you love skateboarding. You should just like keep it up, And if you're in LA, I hope we can meet up. Just one sentence makes the world,
Yeah.
So it's what I do. Like, it's crazy, I think I do that 2 hours a day, which is a lot.
Social media stuff. You're saying.
Yeah, 2 hours a day, easy.
Mostly on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't do Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do Facebook just like to tell my friend that
Happy birthday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. On Instagram, it's just like to me, it's a really like amazing tool that you can use. And if you're from like Thailand, Melbourne, Paris, New York, Sao Paulo, something can happen for you because it's a great tool to promote what you do.
Yeah.
And trust me, man, I started Instagram probably like 5 years ago, and I had just my mother and my brother. They were following me, It was just like 3 followers.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you need to have a lot of followers. I'm not saying that because that's not a goal, having like 1 million, because when you reach 1 million, you want 2. So there is no ending. I'm just saying that it's a good tool just to show what you do.
Yeah.
And if you work hard and you just like show stuff, every day, something's going to happen. Somebody is going to like DM you and you're going to say, man, it's cool. Do you want to do a board collab with me?
Yeah. That's sick. I mean, that couldn't be more true because I think I found you originally maybe just cruising through Instagram, Explore, whatever, saw your work, started following, yada, 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 and you're over here stateside in Denver sitting in the dining room talking. It's like, it is pretty weird, but at the same time, I feel like, you said you're 36, right?
Yeah.
I'm 34, so I feel like our generation, especially like this age group, really starts to get the fact that like basically anything is an email away or a DM and just like, hey man, are you free? You can be around. You have time while you're in Denver. I want to do a quick interview. Like, it's pretty sick, and it really starts to. It's hard to wrap your head around like where could you really take this as far as like whether with photography or artwork or anything, like just reaching out to people and like you said, creating the whole thing where you did a whole tour yourself through skate shops just by reaching out to people. So are you finding that a lot of your work, when you're doing work for different clients, does that then create like a domino effect where then other clients start to come in because they've seen it? I ask because I find that more times than not, my personal work and personal projects that I pursue, that is what creates interest from paying clients that come my way and say, hey, we want you to shoot this thing for us the way that you shot that personal work? Or is it something where you might just be doing some sketches or working on some new ideas, putting it out there on Instagram, and then clients are seeing that and saying, hey, you want to do that for us? Is it a little bit of both? Or?
Dude, I tell you something. I feel like there's a huge difference between a graphic designer and an artist. And I'm not saying that it's not cool to be a graphic designer. It's pretty cool. But I think brand, they don't, like, there is like a misunderstanding. Like, an artist is not a graphic designer. Don't tell the artist what he has to do. And that's why now when I work with a brand, I'm always, dude, I'm down, but you have to trust me. You have to tell me what I want. You don't have to tell me what I have to do. And it's going to be just one time.
How do you get them to trust you? Is it something where it's they know your work and so they say, yeah, man, just do your thing? Like,
Exactly.
that's a pretty... Everyone would love to be in that situation that you're in where you can say, look, just trust me. I'm the artist. Let me just do my thing. Let me do what you're paying me to do. And, you know.
Exactly, and I think it's I have a lot of friends they are artists, and they're like, man, it's crazy, it's a pain in the ass because they don't pay us, and they're like, it's been like 2 months that I'm waiting for the payment, and I always like, now I am in this position, and I think it's not just yesterday, it was just like probably 2 years ago that I understood that now it's like, you want to work with me, cool, I like it, trust me, but before I start anything, you pay me. Because I know how brands work, and I'm not saying that everybody does that.
Sure.
It's like, cool, you do the collab with us, perfect. Show me a little bit, like a sketch or something, and you start doing the thing, and you send the graphic to them, and they're like, can you tweak it a little bit?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I'm gonna do it again. You spend time, and at the end, you did 10 times the drawing,
Yep.
And I think this is terrible, like. That's why now I'm always asking the money before I start drawing anything, because they always ask you to do it again, because they're like, the red, we're not sure about the red. Can you turn it green or yellow?
Yeah.
And I'm surprised because I'm like, if you know better than me what I have to do, why did you contact me?
Yeah.
You should just do it yourself.
That's awesome. That's extremely admirable. Because as you know, it's not always that easy to say, no, you got to pay me first before, So I know, like, without getting into specific numbers, obviously, for me, and I think a lot of just commercial photographers, the usual sort of a 50% retainer up front, 50% 30 days after the job's done. Is that sort of how you operate in your field, where it's the same sort of thing? Like, let's just see some sort of commitment, or is it a thing where you're like, here's what we're agreeing on, and we'll iron it out after the work's done, or?
Well, I try to be, open-minded. It means that with independent brands that I work with, it's like easy, you're like, okay, let's do it. And they pay you up front because they start to work with you.
Yeah.
And it's cool. But sometimes you work with like a fucking huge machine that you can't. It's just like you have to wait a little bit, because it goes from like the accounting department, it takes time.
10 different departments.
But it's insane, like I did, like, I don't want to mention the brand, but I did a collab with a brand in Europe. And, I said I want to be paid before I start, and it took time. And so I started to make it happen, and I sent them the graphic. They were stoked, and they were like, oh, this is the contract. Send us the invoice, and I realized that I'm going to be paid 60 days later.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I don't there's something that I don't understand, dude. I'm an artist. I'm not like a company with like 60 people.
Yeah.
They have to understand that, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we have to. It's gonna be different for us, but for just a single guy, it should be different.
Yeah.
You know, like the same for you. You know.
Oh yeah.
You know, like, you know, you work with supplier, and I understand, you know, there's like a 60 days, you have to wait, whatever. But for just a single guy, like you, a professional photographer or an athlete or an artist like me, should be different. Like kind of like a little bit more like, you know,
Help us out.
Yeah.
Bills got to be paid.
yeah, you know, because 60 days, you know, it's pretty long, basically, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's say 80% of the the contract that I have, it's being paid before I start drawing. I'm not, you know, when I work or when I do art or whatever, it's not for the money.
Right.
But I know that if I don't ask the money first, it's gonna take time, and the relationship's gonna be like, kind of like destroyed.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna send like a reminder every single day, and the guy a month later is gonna be like, I don't want to work with Lucas anymore because this guy is like just like sending me emails every day about the payment.
Yeah.
Dude, if you pay me before, we won't have to talk about it anymore.
Exactly.
And it's gonna be like an easier way to work together.
Yeah. That is, yeah. I mean, I don't think there's a creative person who's worked for themselves in the world that doesn't have some sort of story like what you just said. I have plenty of those stories where after the work's complete, you're chasing people down, and I really appreciate you being that candid, because I think a lot of people want to, you know, business is good, business is easy, I'm on top of the world, and it's like sometimes that just is not the way it goes. So that is definitely a huge, you know, part of, I think, learning how to be in business for yourself is just navigating those sorts of ups and downs as far as keeping the lights on.
Yeah.
So then, I guess sort of switching gears a little bit, when things get tough like that, or, you know, you're having to chase down this check or whatever, how much of this pursuit of yours is just raw belief that it's going to keep going versus hustle, like you mentioned earlier, just super hard work, versus a little bit of luck? Is it sort of 50-50? I mean, as I always say, I hate when people use the word luck, because, as you know, it's like this stuff doesn't come out of thin air. You really have to work at it to keep things going. Would you say it's like 75% hustle, 25% belief, 50-50, 100% hustle, no belief?
You know, I think there's a lot of different factors, you know, and there's something that we have to talk about is just your who you are.
Yeah.
You know, I did a lot of cool businesses with people because they thought that I was cool to work with, you know. And it's either that's why I always tell people that you have to go out, you have to meet people, because there's something brilliant that's gonna, you know, that's gonna come because you just went out and you were like, you know, just be nice with people. You know, it's really important, instead of just talking about like how good you are,
Yeah.
or how efficient you are. More about like having a cool time with somebody. I mean, you know, back in the days when I was working for the magazine, I was setting ads, so it's like far from what I do now. And it's funny because at the very beginning, as I told you, it was like full of bullshit, and I had to seduce people at the end. Seduce people is just like being cool. Like, hey man, this is a beer for you. Let's hang out. Let's have fun. And then a week later, the guy said, man, you how much is the page, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think they did that because they thought the magazine was cool. It was just like, oh, Lucas is cool. I'm gonna just help out a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
And then to be cool with people and to be who you are, it's not enough. You have to bring to the table like something like strong. And it's what I understood with the magazine. Like, it's cool to be cool, but now we have to progress. So the progression is really important, you know. And with my lifestyle that I have today, I'm not, you know, I'm super hard with me. And maybe that's another point why I can like just like achieve my goals. It's because I'm never satisfied, and I'm always like, it could be better, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it's when you start like thinking that it's you're good, you're good, or it's great, or you don't have to progress, you don't have to improve.
You're done.
That's the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super refreshing to hear, and something that I find I definitely go through the same thing. And I think anyone I know who's seen any amount of success in pursuing a creative career is the same way, where it's like every day has to be a little bit better than the last, you know? That's definitely when you start to get like super content, that's when it's just like, work starts to suffer. So where is your motivation coming from as far as creating work? Is it coming from seeing work that your friends are doing, sort of your peers, and sort of getting inspired by them? Or is it coming from completely outside of the field that you're working in, like skate videos, music? Like I know me, sometimes if I look at too much work from other photographers, I just get bummed out because I start thinking I'm never going to be anywhere near as good as they are. Whereas if I start to look at maybe other mediums, then it might start to get some gears turning. Is it a little bit of both for you, or are you sort of just staying open to anything that comes your way and trying to draw inspiration wherever you can find it?
Well, I think I'm crazy, you know. I think I'm super crazy. I know a lot of artists,
Yeah.
you know, that I'm in touch with. They're my friend.
Yeah.
They're really different, you know.
Yeah.
We are kind of the opposite. And I don't know all the artists from the world. And I know some are pretty crazy, but the artists that I know, they're pretty mellow, you know.
Yeah.
They create, they have a show, and I'm like, yeah, I'm hustling, you know. It's just because I want to live this life like the best I could, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be like, oh, this is not for me, and I can't afford this, you know. I'm like, you know, I want to try everything. I remember, you know, it's bullshit what I'm gonna say, but I bought this bottle of champagne for it was for Christmas time or something.
Yeah.
And this bottle of champagne cost like $200, which is insane, you know. But I remember when I was like 12, my dad said to me, "Do you know Crystal Roderer?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "This is the best champagne in the world." I'm like, "Oh, sweet." And 20 years later, we went to like supermarket to buy some stuff for Christmas, and
Yeah.
I saw this bottle, and I was like, I remember my dad said, "This is the champagne," you know.
Yeah.
And I know like $200 for a bottle of champagne that you drink like in like an hour. It's stupid in a way,
Yeah.
but I wanted to try like why it is so good.
Yeah.
And to this day, I remember every single sip, you know, drinking like this is gold, you know, this bottle is like a gold bottle, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I should have spent my money differently, but I'm 36. In 50 years, I won't be here anymore.
Yeah.
And it's cool, like, to try something that, you know, even if it's fucking expensive,
Yeah.
I try to try something new every day, you know, and trying something new is not spending money.
Yeah.
It's just to say, hey, what if tomorrow I'm gonna just run 20 miles?
Just
Just
see
to
what
see,
happens.
yeah, just to see how crazy it is, you know.
Yeah.
And my life is like up, and it's crazy like this, you know. Like I can wake up tomorrow and do 20 miles, and I don't know how I'm gonna come back. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be like super like exhausted. Like maybe my wife, she would have to call like the ambulance or whatever. But I will, you know, I think it's pretty cool, like to challenge yourself.
Let's see what happens.
And I challenge myself all the time, you know. I try to, yeah, you know, poker as well, you know, the poker face. Sometimes you just like gamble as well, you know.
Yeah.
I think life is gambling, but in the right way.
Yeah.
Not gambling your money. It's just like, you know, you meet somebody, you just, hey, I should talk to this guy. You know, I was in Aspen recently,
Yeah.
and there was this guy next to me, and he was talking about art, and I understood that this guy was like crazy, like big. Let's say somebody who works for Christie's, you know, the guy who
Okay.
like deals with like crazy finest artists, you know, finds art.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I was talking to my wife, hey, I think this guy is pretty important in art. What should I do? And she said,
This is when you're right next to him?
sorry?
This is when you're sitting right next
Yeah,
to him?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, cool.
And I said, so the guy was leaving. I went, hey man, sorry to interrupt, but my name is Luca, and this is my card.
Yeah.
This is my business card, and yeah, you should check it out, you know. And he didn't like, you know, contact me yet, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was like super stoked to like doing this instead of like, oh, I should have, you know,
Yeah.
I should have done that.
Regretting not
Yeah,
doing it.
exactly. You know, just
Yeah.
like just try thing. You know, knock the door.
Yeah.
Don't be scared. You know.
Crazier shit happens when you just go for it. And like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? Someone says no. It's like,
Yeah.
whatever.
The worst thing is the guy says no thanks.
Yeah.
But you know, like, what I've learned along, you know, over the years that, you know, like crazy things happen when you dare things, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that I spend my life like always like trying something crazy. You know, like I did this movie Devoted, you know.
Yeah.
It was like a long process, 2 years of like crazy, you know, like crazy work. And I started with this idea, like Devoted is a documentary about skateboard magazine.
Yep.
So I started from this idea to like just like do a world tour and interview editors, photographers, athletes, brands to talk about the future of print. And 2 years later, I'm sitting in a theater in LA with everybody, and the movie is just like, boom, you know. When you leave this feeling, you're like, wow, this is something insane, you know.
Yeah.
Because there's a huge gap between like having an idea and going and trying to like going to the end, you know. And it was super hard. It was just like, but it was a dream project at the end, because you know, sitting with Mark Johnson, you know, talking with him. I remember when I was 13 and I was dreaming about him.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just like a random, I don't want to say random, for me, I'm a normal guy
Right.
with ideas, and I meet people and I try to do things, you know. That's why I'm doing a new documentary, because I think that I need to do that, you know. I need to bring in the table something that can inspire, I wish.
So, speaking about Devoted, why did you feel I watched it and I loved it because it was focused all about like the importance of print and how it's just does not compare to looking at something on a screen of any size. Is that why you kind of felt the need to make it, as far as highlighting the importance of having stuff that's tangible and that's meaningful and that's going to live on any number of people's walls for the next, you know, number of years?
So I tell you how I started the project. So I'm 36, as you know.
Mm.
So I grew up with print, and you know, the 90s.
No.
It was from like, let's say 1990 to 2000. It was a period where when I was like purchasing print every month, you know.
Yeah.
I had like a lot of subscription, and I used like going to the newsstand was always great, you know. My mom used to just do like the supermarket thing, and she was just like, oh, just go to the newsstand, and I was spending like 2 hours flipping magazines. I was reading magazine as well, you know, inside the newsstands, because it was expensive to buy like 10 magazines. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy this,
Read them there.
and I'm gonna read like the 9 other magazines.
Yeah.
And so over the years, it was like super amazing, and then internet came up, and so I was like, oh, it's amazing, you can get everything from a computer, you don't have to buy anything. So I think that it's from this era the decline starts, you know. And so I didn't mention that, but I think it was in 2006 I started to draw on print magazine, like the cover.
Mm-hmm.
And randomly I painted on a Vice magazine, and I sent them the cover, and they said, cool, do you want a subscription?
This is 2006.
Yes, exactly.
And this was before you were pursuing being an artist full time.
Yeah, I was like still working for the magazine at that time.
And you were just sort of messing around doing your thing.
Yeah,
And you just took it upon yourself to send it off to Vice.
exactly.
What'd you say? Did you include a letter or anything? Or were you
No, I
just
just
like,
emailed them. I just found like a contact at vice.com, you know, a random thing. And they said, cool, do you want a subscription if you want to paint on, every month on the cover? And I was cool, you know. And then I turned back and I saw like these huge piles of like skateboard magazines. And I said, yes. And I started to paint on all the magazines that I've had with me, that I bought over the years.
Yeah.
And every single magazine said, do you want a subscription? So it's cool because a year later, I had like 40 different skate magazines from the world in my mailbox, you know.
Free subscriptions.
Yeah, free subscription. And I started to be a skate rat, like to know like skaters from Japan, skaters from Melbourne, skaters from everywhere. And yeah, I think I started to, so Devoted, it was released June last year.
And for those who don't know, sorry to interrupt, Devoted is on Vimeo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's free on Vimeo.
Just search Devoted. It's awesome.
Yeah. And so I think it was in 2015, I had painting on over 1,000 of skate magazine. I printed a book, you know, I can send you one about you know all the covers, and I did like a book thick like this, and
Of all of your drawings.
yeah, not all, you know, not all the covers, but let's say it's 120 pages, so it's super far from what I, you know, did over the years, but it was a cool project back then. And so in 2015, I saw all the magazine, you know, Transworld, it was, you know, 400 pages and from 400 to like a super thin magazine, and I realized that something bad was like the decline of print, and I was like, man, I have had all those connections. I know every single file, like, let's say editor for each magazine. Let's just like contact everyone and say, are you down to talk about print? Because I have this idea. I'm gonna like just do a world tour and interview you about the future of print. They said, man, that's a brilliant idea. Let's do it. And my wife and I started to like travel the world. The first magazine we interviewed, it was VHS magazine in Japan, you know, in Tokyo. Yeah. And then we went to Europe, did a tour in Europe and the US, of course, like the Barracks, Thrasher, Transworld. I think I interviewed 45 people, you know, for the documentary. But, you know, when I started this project, I never knew how to make a movie or documentary. I just let my heart speaking, you know, just meeting people, you know, and the guy, it was funny because I remember when I met Chad Muska, for example, he was like, oh, it's just you?
Chad Muska's a pug person?
Yeah. Okay, man.
Yeah, it's all about the pugs.
He owns 7 or 8
Hell yeah.
pugs. We went to his house recently, and it was like probably 8 pugs, but super... 4?
4 pugs?
Really?
They were just that cool.
For me, it's always more, you know. For me, it's a huge family. So 4 plus our dog, you know, that's and awesome. They were like, he loves to rescue pugs, you know, which is cool, you know, to get like the old 16-year-old pug that nobody wants, you know. Yeah. It's like super cool with pugs. And the funny story is Muska was following my pugs page on Instagram, not me. And when I was like trying to contact him or DM him, he was never answering.
You sent it from your pug page?
But I used the pug page, and he was super down to like say, hey, what's up? I love you, Grano, you're amazing, whatever. And I say, hey man, it's Lucas. I'm here with my pug. Maybe we can meet up.
How quickly did he write back after you sent it from your pug's Instagram? Was it
like 5 minutes? And he said, oh, I'm down to meet your pug. And from this point, I had the opportunity to meet him and to do the interview for the movie.
That's awesome.
So sometimes, you know, you have to use like different tools, you know.
Get in where you fit in.
Yeah.
I noticed in Devoted, I was thinking that now I get a better sense of probably why. It's probably through at least partially working at the magazine and then your artwork now having its own sort of momentum as well. But the roster of people that you interviewed, Steve Barra, Hufnagel, Muska, like pretty impressive roster. How did you get access to all of those different guys? Was it a matter of, hey, let me connect you with so-and-so? Is it just sort of one domino led to the next? How did that all come together? Because that's a no small feat.
I think it's a domino.
Yeah.
Because when you come with this idea and you're like, hey, I have this project, can we meet up? They don't give a shit, you know. They're like, nope. Yeah. Or they don't even reply to you. Yeah. But when you have the chance to meet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys, and you email somebody and you're like, oh, I already interviewed Dave Carney, Huff, Muska, Burnett from Thrasher, oh, they felt relieved, like, whew, that's cool.
Yeah.
That you're probably legit. Let's meet up.
Yeah.
But there's the hardest part is to do the first 10 guys, you know.
Yeah.
And Thrasher was super hard at the very beginning. Like, trust me, man.
Was Thrasher one of the first that you interviewed?
No. It was like it was super hard to connect with them.
Okay.
They weren't. I mean, I tried to say, hey, you have to be involved because it's about print.
Yeah.
And what if I do Devoted without you? People would be like, man, somebody's missing.
Yeah.
Like Thrasher. And I would be like, man, I send them like 1,000 of emails, try to reach out everyone, and then everybody were like, who's involved?
Huh.
The skateboard mags, Transworld.
Yeah.
So no, we don't want to be part of that, you know.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of ideas, you know.
It's like almost like a social validation.
But I understand, you know, it's
Yeah.
you know, it's just like they're Thrasher. They don't want to be like, they want to be just one thing, you know.
Yeah.
So my strategy was to go there, you know. So we flew to SF.
Yeah.
And I just like knocked the door, like, hey, can I? This is me, you know. He never replied to me. Can we meet up?
You flew there before any sort of commitment from then. You
Yeah.
literally just knocked on the door.
Yeah.
Said I was the one that sent you guys 1,000 emails.
Yeah, and because and then it was like, I met Tony Vitello, which is like kind of like, the boss now.
Yeah.
And he said, man, who the fuck are you? I was like, give me 5 minutes, please. I flew from France just for you. And he said, okay, I give you 5 minutes. And he gave me 2 hours. And he was happy to do it, you know?
That's awesome.
So at the end, it's all about like, just like hustling, you know?
Yeah.
Because I would feel so bad to do this documentary with that Thrasher, you know? Because at the end, I had Tony Vitello and I had Burnett, you know? And Burnett is the most amazing photographer, storyteller ever. I met him in his house. He showed me his little studio with like the magical boards all around the place.
Yeah.
And he showed me like the collection of Thrasher from number 1 to like, I don't know now, like 400 or something. And yeah, it was super hard, but at the end, you know, like the love that I've received from the movie,
Yeah.
all around the world. I had like people like super young saying, man, because of the movie, I bought my first magazine ever, and it was probably 12-year-old, you know.
That's
And
awesome.
it's cool to hear, you know. Like I'm not sure that I've received like a haters email saying like, this is bullshit, you know.
Mhm.
I've received tons of emails, people saying like, man, what you've done, it's gonna stay, you know, in our mind, and it's cool that you've done that, you know. And it gave me like this need to do another one, you know.
Yeah.
And the new movie I'm gonna start filming in February, and it's gonna be called Untamed.
Untamed.
Yeah,
What's it about?
about kids. And the main idea is like, I picked 7 cities around the world. So it's LA, New York, Paris, Jerusalem, Melbourne, Bangkok, and Sao Paulo.
Mm.
And the idea is to go there and spend a week with a skate crew, like a bunch of friends that are super young, between 16 to 20.
Yeah.
And I just want to spend time with them. And I want to document how they live, it's not about how they skate, but how they see life when you're 16.
Yeah.
I would love to know how you see life when you're 16 in Bangkok, Los Angeles, New York, Paris, and I'm sure it's gonna be super different, you know. Like what's your feeling about the future
Yeah.
when you're from, you know, LA or Paris or Bangkok? I'm sure it's gonna be like pretty awesome. So that's the main idea, you know, just to see how they live and to document that, you know. And we will probably talk about print, to know what they think about print.
Yeah.
I'm sure they preferred, you know, swiping on their phone, you know, but I'm curious to know.
That's gonna be sick to see the outcome of that too, because I feel like I always say, it's got to be super weird to be growing up now in an age where social media, like, you know, you'd go to high school and you had your friends there or whatever, and then you'd go home at the end of the day, and that was pretty much it as far as like the socializing went, unless you hung out with your friends or whatever. And then now it's like, even though kids might be in Sao Paulo or LA, they could still very well be connected, you know, like way closer than we think, which is kind of a trip because, you know, again, us being around the same age, I feel like growing up, the only way to sort of see into these other people's lives was through the monthly, you know, issue of whatever magazine that was coming in that you're able to check out. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be awesome. I was noticing today on, I was watching some parts, specifically the free part in Devoted, which is really, I think, my favorite part of the whole movie. But real quick before I get into that, I was noticing it has like over 4 million views right now. Which,
really?
Yeah, it had like an insane amount of plays on Vimeo,
Really?
which is like...
I didn't know that.
It obviously resonates with people, you know? So it's kind of cool because it's like, all right, print still does matter to someone, you know? And obviously many more people than...
But you know, like I love going on YouTube and see like the last part, skate part, you know, that we see on Thrash or Trance or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's probably my edge, but I want to see like the life, the behind the scene, you know. I'm more into like how you did that.
Right.
You know, instead of just like seeing tricks all day, and it's like, you know, just the process of filming a part. It's a 4 years project.
Yeah.
And you sum up this 4 years project in 5 minutes that people's gonna just forget.
Devour and on to the next.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So 4 hours in 5 minutes done? No. I want to see something different. I want to see like the raw part, you know, waking up, going somewhere, you know, the failure, you know, like, you know, and that's why, you know, I'm more into like documentaries for sure, you know. I want to see how the skaters that I love, you know, how he lives, much more than seeing him doing like a kickflip over 15 stairs. I've seen that.
Yeah, trick porn.
Millions of times.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's cool, you know, the progression, you know, and I like to see how it, you know, the progression of it.
Yeah.
But I want to see the in-depth story, you know. I want to see his dad. I want to see the background, you know, and so maybe that's why, you know, I'm doing this, you know, because it's like maybe something that I would love to see.
Yeah. Untamed.
Yeah.
Do you have any sort of, are you just getting started on it, or is it something where you're already in the middle of it and there's an expected sort of rough drop date, or is it just sort of, we'll see where it goes and it comes out?
Everything is set up.
Yeah.
It means that I have all my flights ready. I have all the group of skaters that I'm gonna follow. That's the good thing with skateboarding is, you know, I didn't go on Instagram and try to connect with kids. I was in touch with a guy, like a cool photographer from Sao Paulo, and I was, hey man, can you help me to find a nice group of people to follow? Boom, this is the kids you have to follow. And it was the same for New York, Paris. You know, have all my connections through the magazine of the people that I, you know, that I've
sort
learned.
of a point person in each
Yeah,
city.
I think it's because of like what I've learned through Devoted helped me to go for Untamed, because people were like, oh, Devoted is cool, but it's much more for like old people, you know. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I should do something for the kids now, you know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the next, you know.
Yeah.
It's gonna be different vibe, you know. I won't sit with kids talking like, you know, like Devoted.
Right.
It's gonna be just outside with the kids, you know.
Yeah,
I'm gonna interview them like why we walk or do skate, you know. It's gonna be like different vibe.
That'll be sick. So how did you know, or how did you, like, what did you use to film Devoted, and then what are you using to film Untamed as far as like specific equipment, and how did you know how to just start using this stuff? Because you mentioned it's like you didn't necessarily come from like a filmmaking background, but yet Devoted came out looking super legit. I'm assuming Untamed is going to come out looking as legit. What are you using as far as specific equipment to get the results?
But dude, it's like art, you know.
Yeah.
Like when I started to draw, I wasn't like, I wasn't asking somebody, which pen I should I buy, you know. I just went to the, you know, art store and I bought like what I had like $10 in my pocket and I just bought what I could buy, you know.
Yeah.
And same with Devoted.
Yeah.
I mean, I used the GH4, Panasonic, and I knew that it was a nice camera to do that because it's pretty small and light, and I needed something like super like easy to work with, super easy to use. I don't know if do you know this camera? GH4?
I know of it loosely. I mean, obviously, I'm paying more attention to cameras for the photo sense, but now with as much crossover as there is, where, you know, however many years ago people were starting to use like the Canon 5D Mark II to do video, and it's more and more where I'll be on location shooting photos, but they say we also need video for social, so you sort of have to at least be somewhat familiar with that sort of stuff. But I know of the GH4, but I've never used it.
So I use the GH4, and I don't know what you think, but I feel like at the end, it's like we can see the movie, you know, the quality is okay. And now I'm using, for the new movie, I'm using the GH5, which is like a good upgrade. I think it's gonna be like a really like better, a better step for me from the GH4, because to be honest with you, it's a nice camera, but for the low light condition, it could be better.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I met a filmer recently. He was filming me recently for painting a mural, and he came with the red camera, the 8K. I was impressed,
Is
you
it
know.
the weapon? Is it the red weapon? I think is
Yeah.
the AK maybe.
It's
Yeah,
insane,
that's
you know.
insane.
And I was super impressed.
Yeah.
I was stoked. I was like, damn, it's gonna be insane, you know. And we talk about like producing movie and what I use, and I said GH5 for the new, and he said, don't say that to everybody, but you know, like he said that a red camera is super good, but how pain it is just like to reuse everything. And he said like, you know, like GH5 it's probably better than a red camera, just as simple it is to use and how good you can go with this camera. And I was stoked to hear, you know. He said, man, I don't care to say that because I don't want to mention the guy, the name.
Sure.
But he said using a red camera I'm sure it's a nice camera for sure.
Yeah.
But it's a good way to impress your client when you come with the red camera instead of coming with the GH5, which is tiny like this.
Sure.
And the guy's like, what the fuck is that, you know?
What am I paying for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I guess changing lanes a little bit, through all of this, through whatever form of creativity you're pursuing, whether it's making your next film, working on a mural, do you have something that you do every day or a general routine that sort of helps you be in the best place possible to create, whether it's getting up early and going for a run, going for a skate at the end of the day when you're just exhausted? Is it just checking out of social media and, you know, trying to get outside a little bit, or is it just sort of day by day?
Well, I try to stay as, you know, as connected as much as I can, you know,
Yeah.
because I have like, you know, we're talking about Untamed and murals, and I'm here in Colorado, but I can like give you a list of what I have to do from now to end of this year. It's insane. I have like probably 200 projects. I have already booked
Wow.
80 flight, you know, tickets.
Yeah.
So I have, you know, I do my emails a lot, you know, just to stay in touch with people. Like, hey, everything is good. All right, everything is set up. Okay, cool. But yeah, you're right. You know, like, I think I need to just go more with my board. You know, skateboarding. You know, I mean, just go skate. It's such a good feeling for me. You know, especially at the end of the day. I don't have the time to skate every day, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it's something that it's really like. It's much more than anything, you know, and sometimes you're super stressed for like all the emails and projects that you have, like that they're gonna come pretty soon. Just go skate and you just for like an hour.
All gone.
Yeah, and you feel like this amazing feeling, you know. I feel like I'm 15 every day on my board, you know.
So, like you were just mentioning, like having to stay on top of emails or tickets or reaching out to people to set up whatever the next thing might be, that all obviously wears away after a while. Is skating sort of like when it goes from a passion to being a job, you know, and just like, this sucks. How do you get back to that spot of making it a passion again and like, this is why I got into this? Is it through skating, or is it through flipping through some different magazines? Is it from working on personal work and letting that sort of bring you back to center, and then you sort of that's the reset button, or do you have anything that sort of takes it from being a job to, making it?
To be honest with you, I feel like I'm not working, I just do what I want to do. It's insane. What I do every year, it's like, let's say September, I just take like this globe,
Yeah.
I don't know, what's the word, like the,
Globe.
yeah, the globe,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just like flip it. So what you, and it's, that's, yeah, a crazy question that we have every year. It's like, what are we gonna do next year, which is funny, and we're like, oh, we've never been in India, we've never been in Korea, we've never been there.
Yeah.
We draw our life every day. It's funny because my this year is set up, kind of. I know where I'm going in September.
All 2018,
November. Yeah,
it's
yeah,
already.
yeah, it's already.
Oh.
But I'm thinking, like, if I think about 2022, where am I gonna be?
Yeah.
When you work when you have like a regular job. And my mom, she worked in this company for 40 years.
Yeah.
When she was 40, she knew that the next 20 years she's going to be there.
Yeah.
That's terrible for me to hear, And I think it's awesome and it's super amazing that I don't know what I'm going to do in 3 years. That's
Embracing
thrilling,
the unknown.
Yeah. But every September, we set up everything for the next year, And I'm not waiting for emails. I'm not waiting for anyone to tell me where I should go. I'm like, I want to go in Maldives, like this little island.
Yeah.
Cool. But how much does this gonna cost us if we want to spend 10 days there? It's pretty expensive. So you have to find this idea, contact the hotel, work with them, and then you can like work. And I don't know, there's like many possibilities and options that you can have.
Yeah, making your own life.
Yeah, exactly. You have your path, and you're just like, I want to go left, then right. I don't want to just like I don't want to wait for somebody telling me like this way, you know. School taught me like I have to stay in line,
Yeah.
Be nice, pay your bills, whatever. Just don't have a lot of like, just raise a family. You know what I mean? They don't tell you to be awesome. They don't tell you to be like different.
Yeah.
They just tell you to stay in this line,
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Yeah.
And I wish I could like do more like going to like different university and go there and talk to people. Say what you've learned, forget about it. Just do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And don't wait what I tell people is don't wait to be outside of school to start something.
Yeah.
And it's what I did. And I regret,
Yeah.
I wish I could have been more creative before, I was a lazy skater, with friends, drinking beers when I was 18, 19.
Yeah.
I started to travel when I was 25. Before that I had no money.
Yeah.
And now it's my life traveling, I think we did with my wife like 3 or 4 times the world tour. And it's just the very beginning, And now I'm like waiting for like going, I don't know, maybe who knows, like in a different planet one day.
You seem like you have stuff so, like, you have such a healthy perception of where you've been, where you are, and where you want to go. Even when you say, I don't know in 2022 where that is, it seems like you still are very comfortable with not knowing, which is extremely admirable. If you could start out all over again, and if you could tell yourself, starting out, go back in time, do this one thing differently, or here's what you should really try and do more of or less of, is there anything there that you would probably have told yourself?
Yeah, probably like learning to do something with my hand,
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah.
I remember I was 14 with bad marks, and my teacher was always saying me, you are going in a wrong way, Lucas. You're gonna you will never find a job, and you will be in a bad situation if you keep doing that. I wish I had like another teacher to tell me, hey Lucas, maybe there is another way for you. You can learn how to build houses. You can learn how to like create things with your hands, And it's what I say to people all the time. I don't know what's wrong with the schools now,
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's super important because it drives you, you know, it builds you, kind of. I studied till until I was 23. Damn, it's a long time, from what? From 3 to 23?
Yeah.
It's 20 years. 20 years, like, out of 80, the average of living, it's crazy. It's crazy, And when I was, like, at this period, I thought that just, like, I have to have my diploma. I need to be, like, something important or whatever.
Check all the marks.
Yeah. Give a good mark to your mother. Hey, I had an A+ today.
Yeah.
Sweet,
Yeah.
And I don't remember shit of what I've learned with mathematics, for example, English is important, like, English, geography, history, that thing and French, knowing how to write emails.
Yeah.
I receive emails from people, it's terrible, it's like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
But I was making a lot of mistakes back then, sorry. And I understood that it's super important when you write a letter to somebody, that it has to be like on point, professional, But they don't teach you that.
Yeah.
Learning how to write an email, it could be like something.
It's such a crucial.
Yeah.
It's such a strong first impression for better or worse.
Same for English. I know I have friends living in France that they've traveled, and they said to me like, "Oh, Lucas, I tell you something. I don't travel because I'm not able to talk there.
Yeah.
I'm not able to speak to people." Which is a shame, Yeah. I'm like, oh shit. But you should maybe learn with your phone. You can learn the basics.
Yeah.
They said it's too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just back then. It was like 3 hours a week learning English, and I thought it was super like boring to learn English. But then with skateboarding, I learned how to speak English through skateboarding.
Yeah.
So that's why it's just. And then I was like, oh, I want to travel and meet all those guys, but I understood that English is just like, it's not English. It's just like a language that you can use everywhere. It could be like French. French could be everywhere, but it's English.
Yeah.
It's pretty important.
Do those teachers know what you're doing now? Like,
No.
have you kept up with any of them?
No, they don't have a clue.
Wouldn't it be funny to
send
them those 80 plane tickets and stuff?
I would love to meet them.
Yeah. You should reach out to them. Just say, hey, just wanted to say hey and thanks for your inspiration and here's my work.
Yeah, but I have no idea where they are. I don't remember. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't remember their name. But the last teachers that I had before were nice. Were like more into my word. They were like, do whatever you want.
Yeah, just super supportive. So last question, I'll let you get out of here. Is there anything that you would tell people if there was like one thing to help people that are maybe just starting to get on their path, like you were starting, doing something for your brother or just messing around on magazine covers? They're just getting their start. Is there anything that you would tell them to help improve their creativity? And I know it's a bit of an open-ended, esoteric question, but whether it's, go to more shows, look at more stuff in books, try different things, try different mediums. Is there anything that you'd sort of suggest that
it's pretty cliche to say that, but for me, and it's what I say all the time, everything is possible. And if you have a dream, just think about it, believe, and work hard, and it's gonna happen, But just go step by step. Don't burn the step, Just go like, I love to say, go very small, Instead of like going to the bank and, hey, can I get $10,000 for my business? No, man, you don't need to get money from the bank. Start little, with just a little piece of paper, show it. And then you draw 2, then 3, then you go out and you just like show it to your neighbors. Maybe somebody's gonna buy one. It's the same with sports, It's the same for anything you wanna do. It's just like start little and just go step by step, and have goals, have dreams.
It's an awesome place to end. I don't think we could have asked for a better ending. That was great.
Thank you.
Where can people find you? You said you're mostly just on Instagram. You're living in that space. I know you're on Vimeo as the LB Project.
Yeah, it was produced by LB Project.
Okay.
But if you type my name, and Vimeo, you can, or devoted Lucas Beaufort.
Yeah.
You can, you'll see somewhere, on a skate website or whatever,
And you're on Instagram as your full name.
Yeah, Lucas_Beaufort. I don't know. Should I spell it? Beaufort.
Cool. Thank you, man. I really appreciate you doing this.
Thank you, man. Thanks
Safe
for
travels to Colorado and the rest of the world.
Yeah.
2018 and beyond.
Keep in touch.
Okay, guys, so that about wraps up the show for today. But I just want to say thank you very much for listening. I really do appreciate it. And if you like what you heard, please spread the word. You can find the show on social media at North Podcast. And if you want to hit me up, feel free to do so as well. I am just at Chip Kalback. And if you wouldn't mind taking just a minute to leave a review, subscribe to the show, tell a friend, that's always appreciated as well. So thanks again, and until next time.